actually it was Gayton who was
And
pushing that narrative of us dying
with Andy.
with Andile Mqitama and those bank statements. Interestingly, it's the same Gayton now who says what Zuma has achieved, what all of us failed to achieve in the past 10 years by finishing this EFF. I'm like, but this loser is nowhere anywhere close to us politically. Not in maybe gangsterism, which he says he's good at, or those things of prison and all of that. He might be good on that one. But politically, he is no one. And I understand Gayton's problems because, he pretends all happy. Everybody gets confused to say the happiest minister in GNU. He smiles and all. But if you look deep into him, he's using that to close down his own traumas. I mean, if you want to know how Gayton thinks, there is no way. Prison has got its own traumas.
Sure.
You go and look at, you listen to Gayton, and then you go and look at the podcast of Scheme GP where he interviews ex-prisoners. And they explain those traumas. You're like, there's no way this one survived those things. So he pretends to be happy, but as he sits home alone, his demons visit him. And he wish he was like us. He will never be us. He's nowhere close to us politically, and he's no one to declare the death of the EFF. I mean, personally, there's your research back office must go and find that picture. There is a picture of a coffin carried in my township, written, "Rest in peace, Julius Malema." And that was what hurt my grandmother the most, that how do people buy a coffin for a person who's still alive? Maybe still to come again, that coffin. So you are not talking to the real person here. You are talking to a ghost in terms of my haters. They've long buried me. I shouldn't be here.
So Julius Malema is not holding back here. He's coming out swinging at Zuma, straight up saying he's not afraid of him or of his exodus from the EFF to the MK party. Now, depending on where you stand, this could either look like Malema showing resilience, or it could come across as defensive, like he's trying to control a narrative that's slipping through his fingers. But either way, he's positioning himself as the one on top, as if to say, I've been here before and I'm not going anywhere. The strength in Malema's words comes from his confidence in the EFF's staying power, regardless of who leaves. He's framing his departures as insignificant, calling out old party members for their laziness and lack of political currency, which really gets to the heart of his loyalty narrative. But there's another side to consider. Could this exodus be signaling a deeper issue within the EFF that Malema doesn't want to address? The rhetoric might sound strong, but sometimes it's a thin cover for cracks forming within the party. Now, when he says, I defeated Zuma, he thought he buried me, there's a real fight there. Malema's reminding everyone of the political saga that started when Zuma expelled him from the ANC. For many, this might actually validate his position as a resilient figure in South African politics, someone who survived political hits and kept coming back. And that resonates with people who have felt dismissed and underestimated, like they see a bit of themselves in Malema's story of bouncing back. But let's not ignore the potential bias here. Malema and the EFF thrive on a rebel image. He's built his platform by opposing establishment figures, and it works for his supporters. But is he also stuck in a circle of attacking anyone who poses a threat, regardless of whether they're allies or rivals? Zuma's MK movement could be seen as a more traditional, less radical approach than the EFF, but for some South Africans, that might actually be a welcome change. There's a growing sentiment out there. People are tired of the infighting and want leaders focused on issues, not personalities. Then there's the jab at Gayton McKenzie, who Malema calls a loser. I mean, this is a pointed dig, and while it adds drama, it also opens Malema up to criticism. If he's focusing on Mackenzie's personal character, he risks looking petty, maybe even diverting from larger issues within his own party. Mackenzie, with his focus on specific achievements, represents a style of leadership that doesn't sit well with Malema's bold and controversial approach. And about Shimbambu, Malema seems genuinely affected by his resignation. This departure stands out because Shibambu was the key EFF figure, a trusted lieutenant. Shibambu, on the other hand, sidesteps Malema's comments saying personal relations don't matter to South Africans. For me, that's telling Shibambu is shifting the narrative towards the issues, maybe hinting that EFF has become too much about personality clashes and not enough about real change. It's a reminder that even for strong leaders, losing trusted allies is a big hint. It challenges both their authority and the image of the unity they try to maintain. The border implications. This feud reflects South Africa's larger political climax, where leadership often feels more like a series of personal battles than a unified front for people. And as Malema frames his resilience against Zuma, he's essentially reasserting the EFF as an underdog that's here to stay. But the question lingers, is it sustainable? Malema might say he's unaffected, but at what point does this pattern of gaining and losing areas start to weaken his position? And what does it mean for South Africans who just want stability and leadership that addresses the real issues they're facing every day?